Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're tackling a really fascinating question. Can a model that's built for language actually be used for something like complex numerical forecasting? It's a bit of a mind-bender, right?
At first glance, using a large language model, something that gets words and sentences and even poetry, to analyze a chart packed with numbers, well, it seems totally counterintuitive. It's kind of like asking a novelist to do your taxes. It just feels wrong.
But here's the breakthrough. The whole trick isn't about trying to turn these LLMs into better calculators. The real key is changing how we think about it. We don't want them to just calculate. No, we want to guide them to reason about the data's context, its hidden patterns, and its overall structure. And the way we do that, it's all about mastering the prompt.
So how exactly do we pull that off? Well, we're going to explore 7 really powerful prompting strategies, and we've grouped them into these 5 key areas to walk you through it step by step.
Okay, let's dive right in. The very first step, it's really a mental one. We have to completely reframe how we see the LLM. We need to stop thinking of it as a supercomputer and start thinking of it as something else.
So, here's the mindset. Think of your LLM as a brilliant but super inexperienced junior analyst, right? You wouldn't just drop a giant spreadsheet on a new hire's desk and say, figure it out. Of course not. You'd give them context, you'd explain the business, and you'd guide their focus. That's exactly what we're going to do with our prompts.
Okay, now that we've got the right mindset, let's get practical. Our first 2 strategies are all about prepping the data. It's kind of like telling our new AI analyst the story behind the numbers before it even sees a single data point.
So, strategy number 1 is all about context. Before the LLM even sees the numbers, you explicitly tell it about the patterns you already know exist. Think of it like giving your analyst a little cheat sheet to the data's natural rhythm. For example, let's say we're looking at retail sales. A really solid prompt would include specific context, just like this. This helps the LLM understand that, hey, a spike on a Saturday isn't some weird anomaly. It's just part of a predictable weekly cycle. This is a huge leap from just treating every number as a random point in space.
Second, and this one is absolutely crucial, is how you format the data. You see, a raw list of numbers is just noise to an LLM. By structuring it cleanly in a format like JSON or a simple table, you're basically giving the model a clear map to follow, complete with labels and helpful metadata.
And here's why that is so important. When you see it in a table like this, it just clicks. A structured format makes the data machine-readable in a really meaningful way. The LLM can now reliably tell that this column is the date, this one is the number of units sold, and this metadata over here gives it crucial clues about seasonality. It's not just a mess of numbers anymore. It's actual usable information.
All right, so our data is prepped, and our AI analyst has the backstory. Now it's time to actually direct the analysis. These next 3 strategies are all about telling it exactly what to look for and how to think about it.
With strategy 3, we have to resist that urge to just jump straight to the final answer. So instead of asking for a forecast right away, we prompt the LLM to do some intermediate steps first. Things like calculate the average, find the standard deviation, or describe any recurring patterns you see. This forces it to kind of show its work, and that builds a much stronger foundation for whatever prediction comes next.
This next one is all about being super precise with what you ask for. Don't just say, give me a forecast. Be incredibly specific. Are you looking for a short-term trend for the next week? Or maybe a long-term outlook for the next quarter? Do you want to model a what-if scenario, like what happens if we launch a new marketing campaign? And this illustrates that power perfectly. By breaking down your big request into smaller, more specific tasks, you can guide the LLM to generate multiple, distinct, and way more useful analyses, all from the same dataset inside a single, well-structured prompt.
You can also tap into the LLM's incredible ability to understand language to go way beyond just finding outliers. You can ask it to flag the data points that look weird, and then, and this is the magic part, ask it to hypothesize why they might have happened. It might suggest things like a stock shortage or maybe an external event you hadn't thought of.
Okay, now let's see how all this builds to what might be the most powerful concept of them all, combining the reasoning power of an LLM with the raw number-crunching precision of traditional statistical methods.
So here's the crucial point. LLMs and classic statistical models have strengths that are complementary, not competing. They're 2 different tools for 2 different jobs. The really smart move is to use them together in a hybrid workflow. Think about it.
LLMs are absolutely fantastic at high-level interpretation, at understanding context, and at coming up with hypotheses. But statistical models, things like ARIMA, are the undisputed champions of precise calculation. They're built to capture those complex time-based patterns. When you put them together, you get the best of both worlds.
So a really powerful hybrid workflow looks something like this. First, you use the LLM as your strategic partner. You ask it to reason about the data and suggest which statistical model might be the best fit. Then, you hand off the heavy lifting, the pure calculation, to that statistical model. And finally, you feed the raw numerical output back to the LLM for a clear natural language summary of what it all means. This creates a powerful reasoning plus calculation engine, and honestly, it's a total game changer.
And that brings us to our 7th and final strategy. This is the one where you, the human expert, become the most important piece of the puzzle. This is where you infuse the model with specific, nuanced industry knowledge that it could never possibly know on its own. This domain knowledge, all the little things that are specific to your business or your industry, it acts like a lighthouse for the model. It guides its reasoning, making sure that its analysis and its predictions actually line up with real-world logic, not just some abstract mathematical pattern.
So let's wrap this up and quickly review the complete toolkit you now have to turn a large language model from a simple chatbot into a surprisingly powerful partner for data analysis.
And there you have it. We start by giving our model context and clean, structured data. Then, we guide its analysis with intermediate steps and really specific prompts. We create a powerful tag team by combining it with statistical tools. And finally, we infuse the whole thing with our own essential domain knowledge. Together, these 7 strategies take a simple prompt and turn it into a sophisticated method for guided data analysis.
By treating the LLM not as some magic calculator, but as a collaborative reasoning partner, you unlock an entirely new and frankly powerful way to understand the stories that are hidden inside your data. The only question left is, what are you going to discover?